No matter the genre, films and TV can have a direct impact on our lives. Films play such an important role in the world and the culture we surround ourselves in that the impact that it can have is tangible. The Thin Blue Line shook the world's faith in police and the criminal justice system. The film had such a powerful impact on its viewers that it managed to overturn the conviction of inmate Randall Dale Adams. It's not just documentaries that impact us. Take a look at The Children and you'll see the hope and inspiration from Superman films such as Man of Steel. Even Bambi, which came out in 1942, caused a drop in the hunting rates after its release. In the US, deer hunting was cut in half. Cinema has always been a powerful platform for culture, education and leisure. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organisation quoted a speech by the then Prime Minister Nehru in a 1963 report that the influence in India of films is greater than newspapers and books combined. For me, there have been numerous films that have had a direct impact on my life and development, and I genuinely believe that if it had not been for these films, if I had not been exposed to them, that I would not be the same person that I am today. When I was growing up, the Harry Potter films were beginning to roll out, and as I grew up, I would see these characters, the characters of Harry, Ron and Hermione, grow up too. These films and the books have had an immense impact on my development, to the point where if I didn't watch them or read them, my love for film and the fantasy genre would not exist. Can you pinpoint any specific film or TV programs that may have had an impact on your life at any point that you might have a special memory associated to that could have changed something about you?
Yeah, definitely. There's I remember as a kid vividly I used to watch, not used to, I watched on TV, and that really changed me. Like, I used to be fascinated with the CGI of it and how they made the dragons so real. Like, it was a form of escapism, I guess, for me.
Well, I mean, I've always been, from, well, as young as I can remember, a massive fan of, like, dinosaurs and prehistoric animals. So Jurassic Park was a massive thing for me. It was pretty revolutionary in terms of its effects and in terms of how it was made. But as a kid, it just took you away into something else and into this incredible world where somehow dinosaurs existed. And I think that always captured my imagination as a kid. So from the start, it was always about it was always dinosaurs for me. It was always that kind of side of being a kid. It's changed my life massively because I think without them, I wouldn't have been anywhere near as interested in films and television in terms of the life lessons that it's taught me as well. Like, I feel like Doctor Who particularly has given me just a wider understanding of the world, which sounds a bit far-fetched, but it genuinely, the amount of knowledge that I gained from just watching it is actually genuinely quite amazing. What a good job of educating me it did.
There's a wide variety of films that have impacted me for different reasons. You know, when people ask me what's your favorite film, I always say Gladiator, and the reason why is it's nothing to do with its technical side or how good the cinematography was, but it's kind of like the emotion that it conveyed, you know, the emotion that I felt watching that film. But I think the one that sits with me the most is probably Terminator 2. I think it's just because we had it on, you know, VHS in those days. And I just remember how cool it was. It was, you know, just the kind of the one-liners or the action sequences, and just kind of also just the storyline itself. It was just the epitome of cool, you know. And I think it just had that feeling that, you know, films nowadays don't have a film.
For me, the love for the film and TV industry started at a young age. My first memory of going to the cinema to go see a film as a child was in 2004, when me and my family went to go see The Incredibles. And when Jack turns into that red monster in the climax of the film, diving behind the seats in front of me. Although as a child this scene terrified me, it's where my journey with films began. My love for film really began to develop once I started to watch and pay more attention to the behind the scenes aspects. Watching The Lord of the Rings with cast commentary on with my brother, watching the 6-part appendices series about the making of the films, and watching the Creating the World of Harry Potter documentaries. These inspired a love for the craft of films. It was no longer just about entertainment, it was about respecting and understanding the hard work, the dedication and the love that is put into each film. What I think is interesting is that although people can pinpoint specific films or TV shows that have impacted them and changed their life, a lot of people discovered their love for film once they began studying it for education, whether this was high school, college or university. Why do you have a love for the film and TV industry? Obviously you've mentioned films like Jurassic Park, shows like Doctor Who, but is there anything else that's inspired this love for you? Is there anything else that sort of impacted your life?
Obviously I mentioned the dinosaur thing. There was also, as a kid, you had Doctor Who that I started watching in 2006. The year after, in 2007, there was an ITV series that got released which was Primeval. It was made by the same people who had already made Prehistoric Park, and as someone who's interested in dinosaurs and already knew about Prehistoric Park and the fact that it was by the same people, I thought, well, I like that series, so I'll watch this one as well. I think Primeval also massively changed my life in terms of that you had Doctor Who, you had that real kind of sci-fi stretch of Doctor Who, but then you had Primeval, which was all set on Earth, but had those sci-fi elements, had the dinosaur elements, which I already liked. It was kind of like a mishmash of all of my interests. And I think it's definitely changed me in terms of the stuff that I produce now, online content, films, how it's inspired me, stuff like that. And it definitely inspired me to go into, hopefully, trying to work my way into the film and TV industry, because it made me want to make shows and programmes to that level and to that quality.
I don't really think so. I used to, in high school, I wasn't really into films and things like that, but throughout the year I changed into media, and that's how I discovered my love for film. It was mostly by accident, really.
I think I've always enjoyed films, but I think I started to appreciate films as I started studying media myself, because it's very true that before you study film or study media, the majority of the people are like passive viewers, so they watch for the simple reason of enjoying the film. However, after studying media and kind of film at like college level, I kind of like was exposed to this other layer of film, if that makes sense. That films were not just there for the purpose of enjoyment. They were there to challenge and question and things like that. And I think that's when I started to fall in love with the documentaries, and kind of specifically kind of documentaries that would challenge the certain social norms or certain kind of like certain way of thinking, and I think that kind of died down throughout the like mid 2000s, I think, because as I said earlier, like films had a magic element to them, and then they kind of lost it, and now there's a more appreciation for the independent film that has the opportunity to kind of like challenge things. I do remember like watching Dallas Buyers Club and thinking like, wow, this is kind of like a special movie. It wasn't a popcorn movie, and some of the themes it was dealing with, it was kind of very powerful.
On the 25th of March 2016, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was released, and my life changed forever. Although the film is hated by almost all of the general audience, and even hardcore fans, the film changed my life and inspired me to further study and explore films so I can hopefully enter the industry myself. I can name countless films that have impacted me and my development. If I hadn't watched Harry Potter or Man of Steel, or even films like Steve Jobs and Zodiac, I don't think my love for films would be as prominent as it is today, and I don't think I would be who I am today. Films have taught me lessons about friendship and loyalty. They've inspired and motivated me to do things I didn't think I could ever do. So they're no longer just films. They're a lot more important. They're a part of who we are, and a part of us.
So do you believe that if you hadn't been exposed to a certain film or television programme at this certain age or this certain moment, do you think your life would be different, you would be different, the people you surround yourself would be?
Definitely. I think it can definitely have an effect. Like I said, good films challenge you. Challenge the way you think, challenge the way you see things. And I think once a film has done that, you leave the cinema or you leave the area where you're watching the film just thinking about those, concepts, or thinking about those challenges and questions that you have.
I think it is a pretty big thing, like in terms of the people I surround myself every day with, my friends, the people I talk to online, in terms of the things that I do every day. If I'm sitting down and watching a YouTube video, it more than likely will be about either football, Jurassic Park, or Doctor Who.
As a kid, I think I used to watch a lot of TV and things like that, and I wanted to work in. I wanted to be a vet back in the day as well, but I was never good at science and things like that. But I realised later on that it was not the actual sciencey bit of it. I just used to watch films about TV, about animals and things like that, and that's how I think it affected me.
When it comes to me, I can't pinpoint a specific thing, but I do, like I said, I do remember, being around 22, 23 years old and starting to watch, activism documentaries and independent films that dealt with very sensitive topics such as race or sexuality or gender or whatever, or religion, and kind of like going away and kind of seeing things in a different light.
It's definitely had a profound impact on me, because I don't think there's a day that goes by where I don't think about, or I don't know, look at an image of, or see something from those franchises, because it's quite an incredible thing being part of a fan base. Even if you're not actively in that fan base community online, you're still kind of enthralled in it. And Jurassic Park particularly is something that I kind of associate often with like the summer times of the year, and that mainly because of the visual aesthetic of it and stuff like that. So I think it is a pretty big impact, and without it, as you said, like, what would I be without it? Would I still be the same person? Is it that big of a thing? You could just say it was just a film, but I think particularly Jurassic Park is more than just a film. You could, like, it's a bit different when you just go and see just a normal summer blockbuster, and then Jurassic Park. They're two different things because of how big it was in both the science community, the paleontology community, and in the film industry as well. So I think that's the main difference, really. How big of an impact and how much it inspired a whole generation of people, including me, even though it was 7-8 years before my time.
Seeing films at the cinema is a magical experience. It's the only time you will be fully immersed in the film, seeing it in the way it was intended to be in the highest quality possible. Nothing beats the feeling of watching a film for the first time. Seeing Captain America lift Mjolnir, or seeing the Trinity team up to fight Doomsday, these big moments that we only get to witness once. Admissions for cinemas across the UK reached 177,001,481 in 2018, a 3.7% rise since 2017. Although this is the highest level of UK cinema going in almost 50 years, is the cinema industry in trouble? Since 2000, the industry has been constantly fluctuating. Its lowest admission rate was in 2006 at 156.6 million. However, it's only just reached its peak. UK box office revenue reached £1,277,122,327, which is level with the figures from previous years. But do the general audience believe that the love for cinema is dying out? On-demand streaming platforms such as Netflix and Amazon Prime are delivering a new and refreshing take on media consumption that allows the viewer to instantly stream their favourite films or TV programmes wherever and whenever they want. This instant access to products may create a demand that cinemas can't fulfill of people wanting to watch things ad-free instantly. Furthermore, although the average ticket price in the UK is £7.22, 75% of people asked still believe that this is overpriced.
Do you think that the love for cinema is dying out with the rise of on-demand streaming? Do you think that people are going to the cinema less? Do you think there's a specific reason for this?
Well, obviously you've got streaming services now which take a lot of the impact off. Jurassic Park itself is actually available on Netflix at the moment, but has it killed cinema? No. Has it made cinema realise that it's can't be complacent and it has to always be innovative? Yes, because at the end of the day, if you get lazy as in the film industry, if you kind of step back and you think like that everything is just going to be simple, then we won't get innovative films, we won't get creative films anymore. So I hope that in the future we see the development of new franchises as well as the ones we've already got. Because of this, cinema has to take a step up. Films, of course, now at the cinema, how much? £10 a ticket at an average price? So it's became an expensive thing, and it's maybe priced some families out, because if they can just watch it on Netflix a year later or on Amazon Prime a year later, then it's really kind of inconsequential whether they do or not. The smaller, less budgeted films that you think maybe in another time could have done better will just go straight to Netflix now instead, because it's easier for them. It means that they don't have to distribute so much money into screenings.
The rise of streaming service is actually it's both a good and a bad thing, just like everything. However, I think it's hard to justify that you can experience certain films. Like, going to the cinema is an experience. You're not just going to watch a film. At least I don't. When I go to the cinema, it's an experience. It's immersive. When I'm binge watching something on a streaming service, it's not as immersive, if that makes, you know. I'm kind of just receiving there, where it's like a lot of times in the cinema, because your senses are almost blocked, you know. That's why you almost feel like you're in a little time capsule when you're in the cinema, whereas like at home you can pause the film, you can go to the toilet, you know. But a lot of times in the cinema, you know, you don't have those opportunities because you don't want to miss an opportunity, and that kind of adds all these little things. I think streaming services didn't necessarily kill or like harming the industry. I think it just challenges filmmakers to make films that are worth going to see.
I don't think the cinema industry is dying per se. I think people nowadays have been given way more options. I mean, back in the day, if you wanted to watch a film, you would have to go to the cinema, and then if you missed that, you would have to wait for DVD. But now with the rise of streaming sites like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, there's way more options for people to explore. In cinemas nowadays, there's a lot of superhero films. Although they're great and I'm a massive fan of them, there's not much original content, and independent films are taking a back burner, and that's quite a shame to see.
For me, films have not just impacted who I am, but also the culture and communities I surround myself in. My social media feeds are focused on the film community, which means I'm always aware of films and what they're like. Films and TV allow people to bond with each other. I've spent countless hours with my brother watching films and TV programmes like Game of Thrones, and I have multiple conversations with friends both inside and outside of college about the latest TV episodes and film releases. Films can impact our lives and our culture because they provide us escapism and entertainment. The uses and gratifications theory by Bulmer and Katz suggests that the audience of media products are all looking for something from the production, and they propose 5 different reasons why we may consume these products. There's information and education for the viewers who are seeking for self-reflection or a challenge. Entertainment for the people who are just looking to spend time with friends and enjoy themselves. Personal identity for people searching for role models and inspiration. Integration and social interaction for people looking for a place in a community and for people to talk to. And finally, escapism for people who are looking to escape their everyday lives and go on an adventure. Our experiences with film and TV aren't just limited to one of these reasons. And one of the reasons why these media products can impact us so much is because we're all looking for something in films and TV, whether it's an identity or escapism. And our needs from films vary for each person, which is why certain films only impact certain demographics.
Do you personally think that a film or a television programme can have a direct impact on someone's life and the culture they're in and surrounded by? Do you think that it's changing who they are, changing what they like, changing what they surround themselves in? Is there a reason why you think a film or a TV programme could be this powerful enough to have an effect on someone's life?
I think definitely, yeah. Film can have a massive impact in someone's life. There's things like Comic-Con that people go to every year that bring a lot of fans together in one place. A good example is Whovians, which are massive Doctor Who fans. There is a strong online community and they share ideas and fan theories and what they think of certain episodes.
I think being part of a fan base that I am in the case of Doctor Who, it's a very unique thing. Obviously there is huge fan bases out there, huge dedicated people online. I'm not quite that into it to the point where I will be, in terms of Doctor Who anyway, I won't be like actively online. I'll just maybe see some of the stuff that other fans will create, stuff like that. But I mean, the Avengers films are a very also specific kind of separate scenario, because you've taken a film that could have been a niche, the superheroes as a whole is quite a niche market, comic books. You've taken that source material, you've turned it into a mainstream giant to the point where it will be grossing so much money, because instead of it just being dedicated fans, it's now became normalised for the average person to go and see the film and to actually actively enjoy the film instead of just watching it as mindless entertainment, and to actually even say that it's one of the best films ever, whereas superheroes maybe used to be seen to be kind of like a cringy, like kind of small market, mainly because of their, connotations with comic books and nerdy people, that kind of typical idea of, oh, if you watch a superhero film you're a nerd. Now that's kind of gone out the window with the Marvel film, because it's kind of, so many people now, although there are people who will just go and watch it and it's just a film for them, there is so many people that it means so much to. And even the people who just go and watch it and it is just a film for them, even those people, they will still think that it's quite an important film in terms of cinema history.
And I do believe that the general audience can have such a connection with TV and be influenced by TV and film. The difference is some of us seek, the film and TV kind of like go out of our way to kind of like watch those things, watch these obscure films, watch these kind of like very hard to watch, films or TV shows. However, the issue is you gotta be a seeker, you gotta be someone who goes out there and looks for these things, and that's when film influences you.
There are films that we know have affected us the moment we watch them. It only takes us a split second to realise that we will never be the same. They fill us with hope and happiness, and for many they give us a reason to go on. They provide us escapism in the moments we need most, a moment to get away from everything wrong with our lives. But there are also the films that we don't realise have impacted us until they're finished, until they're gone. The films that have been with us throughout our lives and provided us support without us fully realising it. Because films are often like a childhood friend. We don't realise what we have, what they've done for us, until we can no longer see them, no longer grow up and go on adventures with them. They're more than just stories on a screen. For many of us, they're friends and family, someone we can turn to when we need help.